Greetings, and what an awesome day today has been. Um, I can talk about this from personal experience, and I've come up with a formula how we deal with situations and things. So, the other night it got to 11 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden, bangs from fireworks. And my first thought was, what a stupid time to start doing it, looking at the clock. And then I started to think about, how do I feel about that? Do I sit here and stew about it and get angry? Do I go round and confront the people about my ideas of how late it is? Even if I play it from the angle of the neighbours have got children, have some consideration, because they may be having a good time and filled with alcohol, and it's going to be a negative reaction back. So it's like back to the drawing board. So that's two negative options. So let's flip to the other side and look at the positive options. Well, I could do a rain dance, hopefully. Or the other option, and this is the one I took, was to send out positive energy and try and reassure the birds and the plants that it was nothing to worry about. And within 5 minutes, it stopped. I thought that was incredible. But as much as anything else, it's teaching me something from this situation arising. Now, today I had another sort of option like that as well. But it's led me on to like a formula as to how to deal with situations and not react. It's based sort of on geometry. So I'm going to use this map. Now, do not focus on the actual map itself. That's purely for demonstration purposes because it's the first thing I've got to hand. Now, if you imagine you've got your line, there's the centre point. So we'll count this side north as the positive, or the outward as the positive, and then we'll have this side of it going down as the negative response. So your situation, and this is the point of it in the middle. If you can see a negative side and then a positive side, and then you can start seeing a few more, you do get more chance, but the balance between the two is going to be the centre point. That's the bit we're looking for, because these situations arise to teach us experience. Now, something else that has occurred, and this is a fascinating glimpse into something that is going to happen. Now, if you are, well, I'm sure most of you have thought about this, you're getting to the point where you're having to make some serious choices between the 3D world and this moving to a 5-dimensional state. Now, I'm talking specifically here about loved ones. As with everything else, you cannot force someone, and it's very frustrating, but you can't wake them up if they don't want to wake up. It's got to come, like everything with this spiritual awakening, it has to come from within each and every one of us. So it's no point us getting frustrated or angry about it. We have to stay neutral, or if the pull of those people is so strong, then I can't see how you can awaken as well. if anything, that's holding you back. There's a fine line between self-serving and self-saving. By not reacting and staying neutral, we are not empowering these things. There's something else I was thinking about today as well, and that was, on the dark side you have this flood analogy of where they're fighting each other to get to the highest point so they don't drown, trampling over each other. Now, there's always a opposite and equal on the light side. From the truth-seeking side, it can be what is known as the rabbit holes. So you start looking at particular numbers connected with Freemasons, and then you start going deeper and deeper, and you don't actually find an answer. From a point of view of benevolence, you might become a volunteer at a charity shop, totally unaware that that doesn't even need to exist. That is yet another rabbit hole. The person has the right intentions, but they haven't used the logic to look behind. So they're falling for yet another rabbit hole. So with the light side, it's no good just thinking we've got to an enlightened state. It's something we have to keep going back within ourselves. Now, I've called this video Men and Motors, and you're probably by this stage thinking, what has that title got to do with anything I'm talking about? Well, if you can picture like Ezekiel's wheels within wheels, and you put it in the idea of an engine where you've got cogs and all the various mechanisms interlock, or even the back of a pocket watch. So, but I'm using the analogy of an engine, so that's why it's Men and Motors. But it can equally apply to women as well. But the point of this is that we've got to be very careful with the spiritual side, that we can sometimes stand too close and we can be giving out the right information, but it's not much good if we're not doing it ourselves. We have to continuously stand back, and this is like, how do I react to these situations? Instead of just reacting, it's like, let's stand back and see the bigger picture to this, or sit back and see the bigger picture, rather than a snap decision, which might not be the right one. The more angles we look at these situations, the more perspectives, the greater our understanding as to why it is happening. And I think we can grow, well, I'd say we grow from that. But those that are not doing that, they're starting possibly to slip away. It's pitiful to see, because it's almost like a drug addict. It could be ego and not, or just being blindsided to yourself and not continuously doing the inner work. Sorry, this is quite a heavy one, this one. So, not scripted either. It's more I'm thinking this through as I'm doing it, and just sharing these ideas, presenting them for you to just think about things and apply the same sort of looking at the different situations that your life comes into each day, and how to deal with it, because all these experiences are teaching source. So we can give out very mixed messages, because let's say it's the center point, and coming out from that is 360 options. So if we're giving any number of those, it's sending out a very complicated signal. And for all the brilliance of source, it is wanting to gain experience. But with all those mixed messages, it's like if we get mixed messages, we think, I could interpret it that way, or I could interpret it this way, and I could get happy, or I could be elated about it, or I might be very angry about it. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to stay neutral to all these things, so we're not empowering them one way or the other. So yeah, that's there's one other point where you have this choice of maybe going down one particular route or another particular route. Yes, you do have a choice, but also consider the choice may only be as to which you do first. I'll give you another analogy to this. When you're learning to count, you could learn to count between 1 and 9, and then you could learn about multiplication or addition. Or you could start learning between 1 and 9 and say maybe stop at 4, so you've learnt 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you start doing multiplications between the numbers 1 and 4. And then you progress to 5 and 6 and so on. And you're still going to come to the same result from that. But you could have gone one of two ways, but the end result is still going to be the same. You still learn how to how to multiply or to add using those numbers. And that's sort of the basis for everything. So even with a spiritual awakening, is there really a bad choice? If anything, it's like looking at all the possible angles and the outcomes that they're going to generate, because wheels within wheels, if people are starting to fall away, then it seems very much, as Eric very brilliantly put it to me about how lightning strikes work. I get the concept, but I could never have explained it without him explaining it to me today. What a sync moment. I'm going to make a video, and this all helps. And Sobe West sang about an awesome day, and it's like, well, I'll be your confirmation, because this is an awesome day. What with the songs and all these synchronizations. And then this idea, this formula for how to avoid giving out negative reactions or even positive reactions, and not empowering and driving these things that are keeping this evil world going like this. So yes, we can change it. And I'm sort of losing my train of thought as much as anything else here as I'm talking, which is not helping really. But anyway, I digress. Where was I? Yeah, so it's always about doing the inner work with all of this. And so everything that happens, we need to think about all the outcomes and how it affects other things. So if people start falling away, I'm of the idea that we are geographically located on junctions of this energy grid of Earth. Now, from the lightning, with it going up from Earth and then arcing back, and people think it is coming down, the energy is already there in the Earth. So we're in touch with it through our souls. It's not coming from above, it's coming from below. So that it might be worth having a think about this polarity shift, this pole shift as they call it, because it might mean the energy then does come down, which it seems to do with the healing. It seems to come down, and I've said before about it, this polarity shift, it's then coming up. So what if the other energy is coming up anyway, and that changes direction, we're giving it back to Earth. So it's just a few things to think. I think we all need to think about with all of this, all the aspects of it, to try and be the best we can be, basically. So I would say, don't just think, oh, it's a good outcome or a bad outcome, or I can't see the good outcome. Another thing I would say is, if you're faced with this choice, just think about the end game of it. You may well get there, which either choice you take, I would have thought. So don't give in to the doubt and the worry. If you feel one is better to do first than the other one, then go for that one, and then come back to the other one and go from there. It's entirely up to you with all of this, how you deal with these things. It's just, I'm trying to point out some sort of, well, pointers, but it's like everything, we all have to do our own work. I listen to many of you, and I try and take on board all the points and then try and find what is right out of it. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the truth or you even agree with it. That's not. It's as long as we can agree to disagree and we're all pulling in the same direction or pushing in the same direction, whichever way you want to look at it, then we're going to make progress. And there is early signs of it. It's fantastic actually, especially the way today has gone. And this garden, everything is up. Insect numbers, the types of insects, the birds, sparrows are back. The energy in the garden is phenomenal, and it's almost like there's a different world going on between what I'm seeing in this reality here and all the Facebook posts about declining this and that. Yes, I can see and I have seen that there's a lot less, but this seems to be the fight back. Maybe I am sending out the right energy and it is attracting, and it because it's always two-way traffic anyway. So I'd like to think, and also by thinking that way, it's not exactly taking credit for it because we must remain humble, but hopefully that feel-good feeling also helps to generate even more of this magnetic energy out, because that's the other reason I use that flat earth map, is because the north on that map would be the centre. So, and that's where, you've got to talk about magnetic north, so that's the centre point. It's drawing towards the same as the blue veins, which is also a good indication that it's divine feminine, not divine masculine. But certainly the role of the men in the Men and Motors is we need to think about these cogs, because we can maybe shine the light and point the path for the divine feminine, which we've also got within us anyway. But we can all ask that why question to everything. If it's the truth, it will stand any question anyway. If it can't answer it, or it gives a conflicting answer, then something's not right about it, then it isn't the truth. It's a simple guide. It's based obviously on what you've accumulated so far, so one person's truth might not be quite the same as another person's truth, and of course don't forget we're all in different stages of awakening. Now I must be specific, that doesn't mean one set of gifts is better than another set of gifts. They're all equal to it. So that's I don't know how long we've gone on here. It doesn't show up against a white shirt. 14 minutes by the looks of it. Anyway, I don't smile very often because I'm partly thinking about what I'm saying, but I'm actually happy inside, and it has been an awesome day, and thank you if you're still listening to me talking by this stage. It really is starting to click into place in so many ways, and I know from some of you I've spoken to, you're getting that as well, which is brilliant. So we can only just keep doing whatever we're doing. It might just be commenting. Not everybody's happy doing videos, and it would be awful if, the one thing we're trying to avoid is all being clones and identical and the same. We need to celebrate our individuality and do things in different ways. It's all serving the same. We're not serving. We're helping each other collectively that way. And I think that is definitely the way forward, the collective as opposed to the individual. So yeah, it's pretty awesome all round, really, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much.